Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet a legend in the world of security. He's the author of this best-selling book. It's called Tough Streets, Rough Skies, and Sunday Sidelines. The great Larry Wansley is in the studio. His incredible journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I love how God works to put people together. My wife and I were out in the Santa Barbara area. We attended Cowboys training camp, and then as we're waiting to get on our flight, this tall, good-looking gentleman is standing there, and he's got a Cowboys hat, and so we just started talking, and it turns out that he is just a legend in the world of security. The great Larry Wansley is in the studio. Thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I truly appreciate it, and looking forward to it.
And I'm going to warn the viewers ahead of time, this is only a 20-minute show. This could be an hour-and-a-half show because he has so many rich, vivid stories. But your career takes many twists and turns. FBI, Global Security Director for American Airlines, Director of Security for the Dallas Cowboys. Why don't we start with your law enforcement career? So tell us about that.
Sure. Fresh out of the Marine Corps, I had no intention of being a cop. I was studying engineering. The Lord works in mysterious ways because I wound up accidentally becoming a cop in a city called Compton, California.
Wow.
And as a rookie, the third day on the job in the academy, the Watts riots started.
Oh, my goodness.
Watts was immediately adjacent to Compton, and it started spreading into our town. The watch commander came in. He said, "You rookies, we've got to get out into the street." And there were only 12 of us at the time. But he said, "We'll pair you, don't worry, we'll pair you with veteran officers and you'll be okay." Within the first 20 minutes out on the street, my partner and I were ambushed.
Oh, my goodness.
And we were in a firefight of probably 5 or 6 people, and we're in a gunfight. And he said, he said, "Get us some help." He was on one side of the car, I was on the other. And I got the mic, and amidst all the frenzy and the firing and the excitement, I broadcast 999. I remembered that. Officer needs desperate help. But everybody could hear the gunfire in the background. And there may have been about 60 to 70 people that overheard that. I was excited. I didn't know. I'm shooting back, and it was crazy. But the dispatcher asked me, "What's your 1020, i.e. your location?" I didn't know. That was a colossal mistake that I made then that I pay for today. And the reason is I turned to my partner and I yelled through the car with the gunfire in the background, "Where are we?" Well, then he unloaded full Samuel Jackson Pulp Fiction style,
Right.
talking about my heritage, my sexuality, my education, my stupidity. I mean, he called me every name and insult that you could possibly imagine, and all these people overheard it. Well, the bottom line is I happened to see a sign on a building, told the dispatcher, and I wasn't aware of any of this other than the fact that I'd been chewed out in front of the world. But anyway, we got help and got the situation under control. On the way back to the station, he never spoke to me. When I was walking into the station, 2 officers came out and they got in my face and said, "Wansley, what's your 1020? To this day, anyone that is still around and that knows about that situation, the first thing they'll ask me is, "What's your 1020, Wansley?" So,
Wow. And I can only imagine, I mean, there's so many rich stories. They're actually going to make a movie about your life, or at least they've been talking about it.
There are quite a few production companies that have made inroads or inquiries, and I'm smart enough to know that I don't know what I don't know, so I have representatives that are
Absolutely
handling that for me. But they tell me it's a very, very worthwhile story that could be really done in various formats, series, TVs, movies, you name it.
We're going to put the book cover on the screen because I love the title. How did you come up with the title?
Actually, I came up with the title. The graphics were the idea of my publisher. My thought was a full football stadium with the flag covering the field, national anthem, and their wisdom said, no, that's too much football because you've been involved in so many wild, crazy things. So let's do a graphic that represents a lot of that.
Yes.
But the title was my idea because it did reflect the main areas that I've been involved in.
Wow. And you're going to have to read the book to learn all of his stories. But I want to just fast forward to 9/11 because are you at American Airlines during 9/11?
I was, on that day, I was the head of global security for American Airlines on 9/11. Routinely every day we had a 7:45 conference call about what took place the previous 24 hours, what's taking place, what we anticipate will take place that day. I reported to the vice chairman, and it was about the time for our call. I was walking into his office. His assistant said, Larry, phone call for you. Got on the phone, and it was our 24-hour center manager. As you all know, probably know, every airplane is accounted for in this massive command center at the airline. And it was our manager who said, Larry, I've got a missing airplane. Flight 11, we can't raise it, we don't get any response, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, in the business, you have procedures and policies for everything. And I immediately said, okay. I told the assistant to call down to my office, get my two senior managers over to the command center. We have to presume that it's hijacked. I then grabbed another phone. I called the FBI and Danny Deffenbaugh, who was the head of the Dallas FBI division at the time. And I said, Danny, I've got a missing airplane, presumed it's hijacked. He said, okay, hang on a second. I'll have 8 or 10 agents headed to your office in just a couple of minutes. And we both had the news on. We always had TVs on with the news. And consequently, I was looking at a reporter standing in front of the North World Trade Center tower, and he was reporting that there had been a plane crash. He said it was a report that a small aircraft had actually crashed into the tower. The camera panned up and it showed a plume of smoke. And Danny and I were both watching that. And I said, well, it's probably a private out of Teterboro. Let's get back to my hijacking. As soon as I said that, we both watched United 175 crash into the South World Trade Center tower. At that moment, Danny said, we're at war, Larry. The world just changed. So from that point on, it was chaos, it was crisis. We actually at American Airlines ordered our planes on the ground about 10 minutes before the FAA put that directive out because we didn't know what else was happening. And of course, after that, American 77, into the Pentagon, and then United 93 into the field in Pennsylvania. So yes, I was intimately involved in it.
Wow, and I can't even imagine what you went through. We're going to show a headline from the Dallas Morning News because I just love the picture in the headline. So Larry, how did you condense your whole life into, what does that look like, about 250 pages? How did you do it? You had to throw some stories out, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. The challenge was really condensing it. It's 320 some odd pages or what have you. But I got into the habit of when I was the bodyguard for Whitney Houston, at the end of the day, I capsulized the day's events. That was in 1988, 87. To this day, that's how I capture every significant event every day. So it became a situation where everything is chronologically organized and so forth and so on. And I went back, and here it is. The rest of is history. But really culling the herd is very, very difficult, because there were so many rich, wild, crazy things that happened, and trying to pull that out and parse through it and everything else was a challenge.
Well, since you mentioned Whitney Houston, let's go ahead and put this picture up on the screen. So tell us about your role. You were a security for Whitney Houston, or what was your role?
Yes, during I was the head of security. During my Cowboys years, I had a phone call. I didn't know her. I didn't know her father. I knew her music, which was phenomenal, but I had an offer to become her head of security. And I was flattered. I turned it down. And at that time, I guess it was the first time that someone actually turned them down. And I said, look, I've got a great job. I love what I do, but thank you for thinking about me. Long story short, they kept calling back. And then the situation became one where they said, well, look, you're not playing football right now, so at least come up and talk to us, and then maybe we can work something out. And I went to my boss, Tex Schramm at the time, and I said, you're not going to believe this, but this is what's happening. He said, Tex, ever the visionary, said, wait a minute, the NFL is going to start an international league. So if I let you go do this, you promise me 3 things. Number 1, the operation here will not suffer. By then, I was the operations director also. And I can reach out and I can get you no matter where you are in the world. And you promote football wherever you can. Long story short, I met with Whitney, her dad. We made a deal, so I became the original bodyguard. And every place that we stopped on the tour, every hotel, I would have 3 or 4 boxes of Cowboys swag, and distributed that out. And of course, everybody is familiar with the concert tour business. There are always other artists in the audience. They're around, so I would get them all duded up in Cowboys T-shirts and stuff like that. And the irony is, most were already Cowboys fans. There were even times when Whitney would do a number during the course of a show wearing a Cowboys T-shirt, Cowboys cap. So you could not buy that kind of publicity back then at all. And she was, I have to say, she was a delightful young lady. She really was. I had the privilege of knowing her during the times before it went south. And when we struck the deal, I had told them I'm going back to football when we finish this first leg of the tour. And they really thought that I would be so enamored with that life that I wouldn't go back to football. But I told them, I promised my boss I'll be back, and so I'm leaving. But again, it was during the time that I had the privilege of knowing her when she was like this fresh, vibrant young lady, monster talent. They were good to me, good to my family. My daughter, who was starting her modeling career, and Whitney had been a model, she gave her a lot of good tips and everything else, and really helped a great deal. So it was a very, very vibrant and wholesome relationship. They knew my family, and so I'll always treasure that. Everything that happened after that, very tragic, very sad, horrific, quite frankly, but I had the privilege of knowing her when, and I'm grateful for that.
All right, we've got a little slideshow from your Cowboys career, and we're going to put this up on the screen. What year did you start with the Cowboys?
I started with the Cowboys in 1983, and at that time I was just finishing a stint, another one of my undercover stints, and I had just taken a break to get back to real life. So I had taken an assignment at the FBI academy in Quantico, Virginia, as a National Academy counselor to kind of decompress before going on to actually Arabic language school in Monterey, California. And during that time, that's when I was contacted by the NFL about the Cowboys creating a new breakthrough program, and I was one of those people contacted.
And this is one of my favorite pictures that I've found of you, and you're standing with the hole in the roof of the old Texas Stadium. Let's go ahead and put that on the screen so we can look at that, Mackenzie. There we go. Isn't that? Oh, that's such an iconic shot.
It truly is. That was by Sports Illustrated, and they said, and when I joined the league, it was a first. There were no player development counseling programs or anything like that. No team security, no nothing. So it was the Cowboys at first that started all of that. And Sports Illustrated wanted to do a photo at the stadium that really kind of captured that whole moment and everything else.
Beautiful. And then there's one more picture we want to show. This is I guess a more recent picture. You alongside Jerry Jones. So
yes.
As you condense your entire Cowboy career, and that's 40 years of being with the Cowboys, what are some highlights for you?
Oh, every day was a highlight. It really was. But highlights are Tex Schramm, Tom Landry, that initial meeting and the relationship that was struck then. And then when Jerry Jones bought the team, again, I learned that he is one of the most humanitarian, caring people. And I have been really blessed at the Cowboys for being to work with those people. Those are legends. Tex, Tom, Jerry, and then going to American Airlines to be working for the legendary Bob Crandall, who is Mr. Aviation and well respected around the world. I attribute my position, success, whatever, to those four men because I learned so much, and my book is dedicated to what they contributed in making my development what it became. So I owe those four men, owe my family first and foremost for putting up with the wild, treacherous, crazy life during my undercover years, always being supportive no matter what. And those were fearful times. So those components of my life, I really attribute to my family, Tex, Tom, Jerry, Bob Crandall, and then a host of other people, professionals that I worked with over the years that frankly made me look better than I really deserve.
Wow. Well, I can only imagine being you because you see these athletes when they're rookies and then you see them when they retire. You're just a icon for the Cowboys. You've been around for so long. As you reflect on all those years, Super Bowls, you were there for all of it.
Well, those years are just, they're so incredibly powerful and important to me. I feel so grateful for having been in those positions, and I'm a firm believer that God puts you where he wants you to be, no matter what. And I just hope that every time I'm worthy enough for that to pay proper tribute and do it as right as I possibly can. I owe so much to so many people, but it all starts with God.
That's beautiful. Larry, we've only got a couple of minutes left, and as I said off the top of the show, you got to buy the book to get the rest of the story. But final thoughts, what would you like to leave people with?
I would like to leave people with the thought that, and with the, I won't say task, but think about our world today. It is in terrible shape. We will recover, but I want everyone to really keep the faith because we're challenged every day. There's so much death, destruction, and horrific activities taking place around the world. But I want to remind them, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up the hope, the faith, and everything else because we will prevail. We truly will. So hang in there.
Amen. What a great way to leave this show. We're also going to leave you with his LinkedIn page so you can get in touch with him for all your speaking needs or get a hold of a book that he'll sign for you. The great Larry Wansley. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.